Scores dead, dozens injured, and more than 100 people have been arrested in post-election violence in Venezuela. Let's get straight to the capital, Caracas, now. CNN's Paula Newton joins us with the latest. Paula.
Andrew, what is here is a stalemate. It is a stalemate that the government is determined to do something about. The government of President-elect Nicolas Maduro calling protests on the street illegal. He is saying that these protests, that these are provocateurs, that they're only interested in criminal violence, and that these protesters have no right to ask for a recount. Andrew, this is still the fallout from what was a very close election. Many had expected the successor to Hugo Chavez, President-elect Nicolas Maduro, to really win by at least 5 or 6%. Instead, the margin was razor-thin, less than 2%, and the opposition still demands a recount. I want you to listen now to Nicolas Maduro and Enrique Capriles. You know, the sparring going back and forth between them is about as vicious as what's going on in the streets. Take a listen.
You will not go to the center of Caracas to fill it with blood and death. I believe they haven't wanted to read Sunday's results. There isn't a majority in the country. There are two sides.
Now, in wanting to try and calm things down, Enrique Capriles, the opposition leader, is saying, look, we're not going to have a big national protest the way we planned yesterday. This only plays into the government hands. In the meantime, though, there seem to be options running out for the opposition. The government is clear. They're saying, look, we won. We won't grant you a recount. There's no need for a recount. We continue to govern this country, and you're just going to have to accept it. And there's been many outlandish comments made, including now, Andrew, if you can believe it, accusing the U.S. Embassy here of funding these protests, and the language was pretty harsh. Andrew?
So opposition leader Enrique Capriles obviously going to be a key figure in what happens next. Has he been attempting to calm his supporters down?
Well, he has, but only because he believes it'll play right into the government's hands. The problem is, Andrew, he doesn't have any leverage. He doesn't have any independent institutions to turn to in this country. They have had international organizations calling for a recount. The government doesn't seem to want to budge. Capriles' options are really almost nil at this point. They are calling for peaceful protests every night at 8 a.m. What is that, Andrew? They're going to bang on pots and pans every night at 8 p.m. Is this really going to convince this government to have a recount or reconsider? Absolutely not. And so we're still in a stalemate, but at least the opposition is saying now, look, we believe that by protesting in the streets, there's just going to be more violence. We want a halt to this. Only the banging of the pots for now. We wait to see what the opposition's next step is going to be.